girl, hey, happy self-care Saturday talk. On this week's episode, we are going to talk about the powerful movement of healing, but also how healing may not always seem like the best decision, especially in the beginning of the journey. So if you are new, welcome. If you're coming back, welcome back. I'm so glad to have you. Like and subscribe and stay tuned for more videos like this. So healing doesn't always feel like the best decision, especially in the beginning. When you decide to heal, you start uncovering everything that you once tried to hide and ignore and did not want to face. Just like, nope, I'm not going to look at that. Unfortunately, as the healing process begins, that's when you start doing some of these things. And the side effects of that is now you start feeling a bit of sadness, anger, disbelief, different feelings that come to the surface that is associated with the different events that may have happened. Here's what I want you to know, from the start. Those feelings are, a good thing, right? Because now you can really feel the feelings that you need to heal, right? So these feelings and no longer ignore them. So allowing yourself to truly feel these things is going to free you from all of it. And so for so long, I used to see things how I wanted them to be, right? We tend to wear these rose-colored glasses and just see things in our own perspectives. That really able to be open to other people or other perspectives, not even other people's perspectives, but other perspectives in general. But healing definitely has helped open my eyes and be more willing to see different perspectives. As you heal these different things, your mind expands and you're able to say, okay, well, right, this is maybe what happened at that point in my life, but this can also be something else. It just really helps expand your mindset to see different perspectives and to be open to different things and different ways of actually healing and becoming a better version of yourself. You start seeing the truth instead of the illusion that you wanted it to be. You start to recognize that some relationships and environments and or patterns were never as healthy as you may have convinced yourself that they were. You may have convinced yourself that it was just meant to be or what. We tend to really kind of create stories in our own minds that we want to believe more than what the truth is, unfortunately. And so he begins to show us what things truly are. That can be a bit painful, right? Once you start seeing the truth for what it truly is, it's really hard to start unseeing things. You find yourself not wanting to actually be around certain people anymore or even be in different environments, not because you're bitter, but because you've outgrown the version of yourself that tolerated certain and the way that people may have treated you. Remember when I first started healing, I honestly thought that once, I did this work, like everything and everyone around me would get better. I was under the assumption that I was the problem, right? That's what I've been told as I was a kid, as going through, my adult life, whatever. I was always the problem because I was always more outspoken and I always kind of stood up for myself, but I was always the problem because of that, right? I thought, me healing would, cure these relationships and fix the misunderstandings and kind of relax the chaos that was built into these different things. But honestly, it didn't. And at first, I was upset about that. I was like, wow, I thought this healing was going to be such a life-changing experience with the people who were in my life. Truly, it wasn't. And in fact, as I healed, some people actually continued to mistreat me. And I started to realize at that point that really the issue was never really me. That before, you're able to start seeing things with different eyes, right? A different perspective. And now I was able to see, have realization that it was all a lie. That I really wasn't the problem. And at first, this really did make me mad. I was like, because I was gaslighted my whole life for thinking that I was the issue. I was the problem. I was the cause of all this. It really wasn't the situation. So I started to heal and see things clearly. It became more freeing. That freeing of seeing things for what they truly are, to see things more clearly, was one of the biggest breakthroughs that I've ever had in my healing journey, was seeing things that I wasn't the problem as everybody convinced me that I was. So healing showed me that other people's behaviors was often a reflection of their own pain, not my worth, or not always the problem. This is why, healing sometimes requires some distance from people, places, and situations that no longer align with who you are becoming. Because sometimes, when you are in the midst of healing and you may, try to talk to somebody else about what you're going through, how you're feeling, but they're not in that process of healing. So they're not truly understanding. And sometimes that they still have their rose-colored glasses on and they're not able to see things as clearly as you are. Or, they're putting their perspective on you, and now you could start doubting yourself like, whoa, am I still crazy? Because you've done it for your whole life. That's why sometimes time by yourself with God can be a very healing in itself, right? And some people may think it was, it's isolation and that it's weird and, it's not healthy and this and that. But honestly, it is something that probably will need to be done at some point in your healing process, just to get the outside noise out of your brain. And then you can start really hearing God and what he's trying to say to you and what he's trying to truly show you. Because God will show you everything that you need to see, the good, bad, and the ugly, okay, in this healing process. And he actually was really the one to open my eyes to a lot of things. One thing about this, right? And you tend to go through the same lessons until you actually learn that lesson. And it may look different, it may be with different people, but kind of the same storyline keeps happening until you say, you know what, I'm no longer available for this. And start making some different decisions, taking some different actions so you can get a different result. And that is exactly what God did, was continue to show me over and over people's true intentions until I could really see it for what it truly was and not what I wanted it to be. Having God help you in this journey is going to be one of the best decisions that you can possibly make, because he is the one that truly knows where your heart space is, when what you truly need to heal, and to how deep you need to go in order to become the best version of you. Now, in the process of this healing, though, there are a few things that I would highly recommend you to do. And in the beginning of this, I didn't journal all of my feelings. I did a lot of talking. I did a lot of praying to God, but I didn't write a lot of my gory, dark moments down. And I kind of wish I would have, honest, just to basically kind of hold those journals as like keepsakes for my children and, future generations that may need to heal through some of these things, or may need to be reminded of how far we've actually came. That's why I'm bringing this up to you, is I would definitely recommend journaling your feelings, getting it all out and letting it all flow. The good, the bad, and the ugly. And don't be ashamed of how you truly feel. It's okay. It's okay to be pissed off. It's okay to be, sad. It's okay to feel resentful. It's okay to, be disappointed in yourself or be disappointed in the others as well. It's all okay. And it's all very normal. So just let those feelings go, because the more you can get out of you, the better off you will feel. And I say that, I also will say, let yourself release the emotions that are attached to the things that has happened to you. So if that is going to create you some moments where you need to cry it out, and cry those feelings out. Actually, I found crying to be one of the most relieving things about my healing. Like, it was so good. I felt so good after I was able to cry it out. You know, sometimes you might get angry and you're just like, feel a little bitter or frustrated or whatever the case may be. So, you know, you may want to yell or punch a pillow, you know, if you're feeling really angry and you want to get these feelings out. Have that fight with your pillow. And also move the energy out of your body. However your body is calling you to do that, right? However your higher version of yourself is wanting you to do that. Sometimes it's going to be dance. Sometimes it could be a workout. Sometimes it could be just like bouncing and things like that. So whatever your body is calling you to do, I would just go with it and do it. Spend a lot of time in nature. I did go for a lot of hikes. I really love to be out in the woods, in the trees, letting the sun bake and just hearing the birds and the different animals around. I did allow myself to take, you know, that time and just connect with the outdoors and be out there. And then most importantly, pray. Ask God for help and He will love to help you heal and become the best version of yourself. If you've noticed or not, but God is on the move. God is helping a lot of people right now become the best versions of themselves, really heal and let go of the old version of them and the old titles and the old stories that they used to tell themselves. And He really has helped transform my life to become the best version of myself that I've ever been. And I'm so grateful, and it's been very life-changing. And I'm not done yet. So it's been amazing. So I just wanted to tell you that. Now, it all isn't going to be amazing, right? I mean, facing some of the darkness isn't always fun and exciting, but what happens on the other side of that is how you start to feel free, how you are not tied to those things that used to keep you feeling stuck and low and unworthy of yourself and not feeling loved and so much more resentment. And no, healing isn't going to always be feeling like it's going to be, you know, a great thing. On the other side of the healing, when you really face your demons and you really say, you know what, I'm no longer available for this anymore, then you will start feeling the freeing and feeling how amazing you're going to feel. Especially if you have been stuck in like a fight or flight or survival mode for many, many years. At first, it may feel like a little uncomfortable, but then you will start to, like I said, feel really good and like, wow, this is what life can feel like, right? Because sometimes when we get so stuck in that fight or flight or survival mode, we can't imagine anything else. And it's just like we've basically, you know, especially for me, I'll talk about how I ended up accepting that for many years. And I thought, oh, well, I just had a shitty end of the stick here and this is my life and I'm going to have to accept it. But God showed me, no, you don't have to accept it. And it was very, very freeing. Healing also requires a bit of surrender, resting that God sees, hears, and knows things that you don't. Because I will be very clear with you. I thought I knew all the answers. I thought I had it all figured out, you know, in the beginning. I was like, yeah, no, especially coming from a dark space. Like, I've lived a lot of these tough situations, right? And now you're telling me that, you know, I'm supposed to surrender all this and not really have any control and all of that. And I really fought that for a while. until God kept on showing me, that no, I didn't know. And I had to learn that lesson. I know I'm a bit stubborn, but it is what it is. I'm being honest. I had to learn that lesson of being willing to surrender to his will. Have faith in that he truly knows what's best for me. Finally surrendered. I didn't feel difficult at times. Well, at times it did, but there was more peace to that than like hardship, right? Like it wasn't always like feeling great, because sometimes I was expecting things to happen that didn't happen. So I was like, wait, what's going on? You're doing all this but you're not, this didn't happen. And I was really upset with him a few times that things didn't go the way that I expected them to be. My ego, my human self wanted something, thought something was going to happen, and it didn't happen. And, honestly, at this point, I'm thankful that it didn't happen because I wasn't ready, but I thought I might have been ready, I was like, well, I've come this far. I'm ready for this. And then God sprinkles in a little test. And then I failed the test, and he's like, yeah, see, told you weren't ready for it. There will be tests on this journey. Some people say, oh, no, God doesn't test you. Yes, he does test you. He tests you to make sure that you've learned that lesson. He tests you to make sure that you are ready to the next level, become a better version of yourself. But you can't drag the baggage from the past into the new version of yourself. So if you can't let go of what has happened, God is not going to bless you with a breakthrough and grant you expansion. Not going to really be able to handle it, and it's going to fail. And unfortunately, God already has kind of a bad rap with many things, and so he's not really trying to get his name out there attached to more bad things. We want things to be positive, and he wants us to grow and expand, but only when we are ready and when we've truly learned the lessons that we need to learn. When I, became to peace with everything, that's when I stopped, chasing closure and started just embracing the clarity and saying, God didn't bring me this far to leave. That's maybe maybe you need to hear that today and know that God didn't bring you this far to leave you, even in the times where it feels like you may be stuck there for a while. Because there were times where I was like, oh, man, I just want, I've been stuck, like feeling stuck. And I've even, kind of made some videos about that in the past of not feeling that God was listening or hearing me or seeing me because I thought I was ready to grow and expand and go to the next level, but he truly knew that I wasn't. One thing about this healing process is it is all within divine timing, right? And even if you don't ask God to help you, I believe it's still going to be all in divine timing, because he is the creator of all and he controls it all, regardless if you believe it or not, okay? So when, they say it is divine timing, and then, you may see people say, no, it's not divine timing. It's going to happen within, when you decide it's good. And maybe in some cases it will, but if it's like a deep rooted issue, and it's going to be on his timing, because he's going to make sure that you are fully healed and ready to move on to the next level, especially if you are going to be working for his kingdom. In order to become more in your purpose, you're going to need to surrender to God's will and in his divine timing, right? And not try to rush things, because God is not a God of rush. If it doesn't go by the timing that we have here on earth. And, we may be like, oh, we got to go, do. And he's like, nope, he's going to put you in the slow cooker and he's going to cook you slow and make sure that every inch of everything that needs to be touched and healed and corrected is done. He's not going to half-ass it and give you a little bit of something and make you think like everything is grand. Because honestly, I did that to myself before. I'll share this. I may have shared something like this before in the past, but when I was on my health and fitness journey years ago, I lost about 35 to 40 pounds, and I felt amazing, right? I was in the best shape of my life. I thought I was untouchable. Things were great. And then a couple years later, I was able to still maintain my weight, right? For a couple years, I was still doing everything that I was supposed to be doing, working out, eating healthy, drinking my water, doing everything until I was betrayed. And then I started becoming an emotional eater again because I never healed any of those things. I thought I was like healed because I was feeling confident, I was feeling good because I lost some weight, and that really transforms your mind to feel good about yourself, right? Because you've accomplished something. It was just very surface level accomplishments and not deep accomplishments. And that's what God does not want for you, to heal at a surface level, something hits down the road, and then all of your work goes to waste. Because guess what? I became an emotional eater, and I still struggle. I'm still trying to get back to that, even to this day. And it's getting easier, but it still was tough. I'll make another video about that. It'll turn into so long. Sometimes we allow those voices in our head to kind of dictate what we're going to do, right? Don't allow those voices that saying, oh, healing isn't important, or you don't really need this, or it's okay to do this. And deep down, it is not okay, because you keep on repeating the same things over and over and over again. So don't allow that back chatter to become your map of how you're going to live your life, because you will end up being stuck on the same hamster wheel, going around and around and around and thinking like, wow, life really sucks. Why am I not getting anywhere? Because you're truly not doing any of the deep work to get there. I hope that this was helpful for you. And, if you're in that season right now of healing and it's feeling heavy, just don't give up. Know that it is part of the process, and you're not breaking down, you're breaking through. Learning to see things for what they truly are, not for what you wish they were. And all of that will set you free. So keep trusting the process. Keep praying, keep saying yes to your healing, because God's got you and He is shaping you into the highest, most beautiful version of yourself. Comment below and tell me where you're at in your healing journey, right? I would love to, give you support and hold space for you. And if you are looking to get some support on your healing journey, and you're looking to maybe have just somebody to talk to and things like that, send me an email at sayyesToHealing1111@gmail.com, and I'll set up a Zoom call and we can discuss and see where we can go and how I can support you in this journey. Because sometimes, healing can feel lonely and can feel like it's never going to end, and to have somebody who has gone through the process may be very helpful to your journey. If this message has resonated with you, please like, subscribe, and share with somebody else that may find this helpful. So thank you, love you, and happy healing. Bye.